Hi, my name's Bryan Muir. I'm an actor's agent, apart from which I'm relatively normal, I think. I'm delighted to have the opportunity of talking to you today because I want to present to you some 40 very talented new people. When I say new, some of them are a little bit older than new, but they're new as far as you and their talents are concerned on the silver screen. They have in fact all been trained. They have very considerable experience, many of them, in commercials and so forth. They're waiting for the opportunity to appear in your film or your television series or whatever. I hope that you can spend the hour or so that it's going to take to have a look at the entire 40, and when you have, I think that you'll agree with me that they are very talented indeed. It'll help you, I think, if you have by your side during the screening one of these sets of composites. I call it a talent pack, and inside you'll find the various composites of the individuals whose information is going to be shown to you on this tape. Now, without further ado, let me invite you to enjoy, and I mean enjoy, the 40 new talents in what I laughingly and proudly call Muir's movie mob. Terry McDermott was Australia's first TV series star as Sergeant Bronson in Homicide. He moves easily through all the actors' media and is equally at home in drama or comedy. Terry lives in Melbourne, but is available to travel to any location where a good role is to be played. An actor...
Ah, here's the man himself.
Oh, good day. How's it going? All right?
Oh, right as rain, Eric, right as rain. Had a good butcher's hook around the new home.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah, young Tommy here's been fantastic.
Tony,
yeah. Tony. Yeah, he's been giving me a regular cook's tour all over the place. Seen everything. Been to the courthouse round the corner, checked it out, everything's fine. This place is going to suit me down to the ground.
Of course, I was explaining to Sarge how frantic it is here most of the time.
Well, that's right. The pace can be a real killer.
Well, that'd suit me. I like a bit of excitement. I'm really looking forward to that.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, well, then, of course, at other times, there's the long stretches of dull, boring routine.
Yeah, drive. You absolutely bar me.
Well, that'd give you some relief from all the excitement, wouldn't it? I mean, you've really got it both ways.
Yeah, well, anyway, look, Alec, I must press on. I've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, it's getting late. Look, it's lunchtime. I don't suppose either of you blokes like to come and wet the whistle.
No, thanks, mate. I've got a pile of work to do here. Thanks, Alec, all the same.
What about you, lovely young ladies? I don't suppose you'd care to come and have lunch with me at the local pub?
No, I'm afraid we have some very unpleasant news for Sergeant Cameron.
Yeah, well, I'll grab a pie.
Lorelei Tait is an actress, a singer, and a dancer. Starting out as a professional dancer, Lorelei appeared in Europe and England as well as on the local scene. She's had acting experience with the ABC and in commercials.
Have you lost something, Charles?
Not exactly. Well, that is, I don't want to leave anything behind.
You're not going.
I must.
We've barely begun to know each other, and I find you most fascinating. I hope you didn't mind my asking you to marry me last night.
No, that is, I'm unaccustomed. Oh, you're such a pretty girl.
I was always so fond of you as a child.
Do you really remember?
Of course, you were fascinating even then. Sit down and have breakfast and talk to me. Tell me all about making gold. You're the cleverest man I've ever met.
Well, that's very decent of you.
I'm going to tell you right out. I think you need stimulation.
Stimulation?
Yes. When a man is stimulated by a woman, he becomes determined, like an animal stalking his prey.
An animal?
Right after breakfast, I'll stimulate you. I thought you'd enjoy knowing in advance. Now tell me all about your gold.
Well, there's nothing to tell, really. It's made with hot, that is, molten lead and a reagent.
A what?
A reagent, some brown crystals.
And what's in the reagent? The brown crystals?
That's my secret.
Oh, I adore secretive men.
I really must be going.
How dreadful if you go. When will I stimulate you?
Oh, you already have.
Men make such criminals of us. Charles will do anything to get this back. Even marry me.
Greg Thatcher is a newcomer to the professional scene, having worked in several Grundy productions, A Town Like Alice, and the Film Australia documentary, all as extra. Greg is a graduate from screen acting seminars.
What do you want, Greg?
A role.
A role?
Yes, that is my dream, to be in the movies. That's why I played an old mariner and made up this tale. A role. A little role. I'll accept anything. A traffic policeman. Do you need? A knight. A gangster. I can do this too.
No, I don't think so.
I can play a lover.
You can play a lover?
Yes. Do you want a confession of love at first sight?
Love at first sight. Oh dear. All right then, go ahead.
Dream of my eyes. Jewel of my heart. With shaking hand, I write of the indescribable love that has torn me apart since the moment I first encountered your eyes. That sweet smile. And all the beauties pertaining to your excellence. Oh, look at me, light of my life, flower of Eden, beautiful lady. I shall lay down my life for you.
Robert Luxford. Well, nature has cast Bob the Box Luxford as a heavy. A graduate of screen acting seminars, he's had frequent extra work as well as appearing in several commercials.
There's Sadie there.
Who?
Sadie, a friend of mine. He lives here.
Sadie? What sort of name is that for a bloke? No, mate. No one here by that name.
Oh, is this 312?
Yeah? Oh, I know. You're probably looking for those jokers that are here before us. We only moved in a few days ago.
Well, they're gone?
Yeah, landlord chucked them out. Hadn't paid their rent. Grubby little bastards. Left the place in a real mess too.
Did they leave an address or anything?
Nah, nothing. Didn't want the landlord chasing after him, I suppose. Left half his furniture here too. Oh yeah, there's some mail here for him. If you ever catch up to those jokers, tell them I got some mail here for them.
Okay.
Sorry I can't help.
Well, that's all right. Bye.
Bye. Sadie. What sort of name is that for a bloke?
Al Brightman is cast in a significant role in the turbulent Fontana Films pilot The Brothers Zack. A Bachelor of Arts with a drama major from Macquarie University, Al will graduate soon from the Sydney Acting School.
I'm rather irritable this evening, so unless there's a reason for your visit...
No, but there is. A very important message, a word of mouth, from a gent that's just been dining with me, Sir Herbert Vesey.
Yes? Oh, do be quick.
He has definitely decided that he has no use for the barn, but he does not see it as a school, and under no circumstances will he let it as such, so he must regretfully decline, etc.
He implied in his first letter that he would be willing to sell.
Then some bigwig must have made him change his mind, mustn't he?
You?
I'm not going to have any of this damned hanky-panky in my village.
Your village?
My village. I'm no braggart, but I'd have you know that everything you see from that window, and you haven't got a bad view, I own. Now, my dear madam...
And stop calling me your dear madam. I'm not married, I'm not French, and you haven't the slightest affection for me.
Oh. First of all, I'm not one to hit a woman below the belt, if you know what I mean. Always be fair to the fair sex. All my life, I've done my level best for the villagers. They call me Squire, you know, term of affection, jolly touching. I mean, a hamper every Christmas, the whole shoot, and a whopping tankard of beer on my birthday. And on my 21st, they all got a mug.
Go on.
They jabber away in that funny lingo of theirs, but bless their hearts, it's a free country. Putting them out to read English and pothooks, and giving them ideas. If there were more people like you know, England'd be a jolly dangerous place to live in. What do you want to do, turn them into gentlemen? What's the idea?
I'm beginning to wonder myself.
Anyway, this buying them out of the mind is a lot of gammon. I own a half share in it.
That explains a good deal.
Why don't you take up croquet? Keep your pecker up. Well, if there's anything I can do to make your stay here the happier one.
Thank you.
I must be getting back. If I know Sir Herbert, my best old port will be no more.
Roseanne Dunn is a 1980 graduate of the Ensemble Theatre Acting School, an MA and BA from the University of New South Wales. Roseanne has already played a small role in The Restless Years, as well as several professional stage engagements during her 4 years at the ensemble.
Well, you see, Bryan doesn't have any faith that she's going to ever be any better, where I have, you see. I'm always on the lookout for some sign. I remember once when she was, 12 months old, I suppose. She was lying on the rug kicking her legs about, and I was doing the flat. Well, I'd made this little tower of 4 coloured plastic bricks on the rug near her head, and I watched her. First, her eyes, which were usually moving in all directions, seemed to glance in passing at this bright tower. And then this arm started to show real signs of intention, and her hand started clenching and spreading with the effort. Meanwhile, this arm, which was always held here like this, didn't move at all. Well, you see the importance. For the first time, she was using one arm instead of both. And then her hand jerked in a spasm, and she knocked the tower down. As soon as Bryan came home, I told him about it. He said something stupid like, that's terrific, let's put her down for piano lessons. But as soon as he tested her, well, of course, he saw that it was true too. Well, of course, it wasn't much to ask for. One arm movement completed. But it meant that she had a will. She had a mind of her own, and a vegetable couldn't have done that. Then she got sick. She caught some virus and had fit after fit, what amounted to a complete relapse. When she was over it, we tried her with the bricks again, but she couldn't even seem to see them. Well, that's when Bryan lost interest in her. Well, I still try, but I don't tell him about it. I'll tell him when something happens. Well, it only seems natural to me. If she did it once, she can do it again. I think where there's life, there's hope, don't you?
Sharon Dell Mace. This attractive new talent is another ensemble acting school graduate. Sharon Dell recently had a small speaking role in The Young Doctors for Grundy's, and her only previous professional experience is as an extra with Film Australia.
You and I have got to come to some sort of an arrangement. When George is dead, when he's no longer around for either of us, we can indulge in orgies of recrimination if you like. You can accuse me of breaking up your happy marriage and taking your husband away from you. And I can accuse you of vindictive self-righteousness in refusing to divorce George so he could marry me. Or we can go through all the hoops. We can give vent to all the mutual bitterness that has been fermenting in us both for years. But not now. Not yet. For so long as George lives, we're going to establish a truce. We're going to be friends, you and I. Close, intimate, loving friends. Is that clear?
Yes, quite clear, but out of the question.
I have no intention of pretending something I don't feel for George's sake or anybody else's.
I think that sort of stubbornness indicates weakness, not strength.
It is a matter of supreme indifference to me what you think, Linda.
It isn't what you or I think that counts, it's how George feels.
Well, you said just a moment ago that he was still in love with you and you with him. Surely that should be enough for him.
That was cheap and unworthy of you. You had George's wholehearted love for 15 years, and even now you've still got part of it.
I don't care for this sort of conversation, Linda. It's embarrassing.
Well, I don't care for it either, Anne. But you and I have got to come to an arrangement. You're still in love with George, and you always will be. I'm in love with George, and I always will be. In a way, we're both in the same boat. And in a moment as tragic and desolate as this, it would be shameful for either of us to allow personal animosity to rock it. Neither of us know how George is going to react to this situation. But surely you must realize if he can see we're no longer enemies but friends again, it's going to make it easier for him to face what it is he has to face. Please, Anne, give in.
Harry Daniels is the possessor of a fine baritone voice as well as a talented actor. He graduates from the Ensemble Theatre Acting School in 1980 after 4.5 years of study with a quite formidable list of professional engagements along the way, both stage and TV. Here he plays a crazed young scientific prodigy born a century too late.
To help you, Bolter, I want to take you under my wing, understand your, whatever it is, your genius.
Look, Professor, what's that?
What's what? Oh, this. Well, I don't know. It looks like lead. It's about as heavy.
It is lead.
Very well, it is lead. Look here, Bolter. If you think you're putting me off...
I'm not putting you off. I hasten to show you something that might interest you, Professor. There isn't great time left for me. Yea. It is the theories of Matheson on the transmutation of metals that has put it into my mind.
I don't want you to begin an argument, Bolter. You will not keep me from my anger, and you will not muddle the theory of the atom.
Let us have all that aside for the moment, Professor. I have told you I have something here well worth your while. Please bear with me.
I could always tell you had the ability, Mr. Bolter, but you must stop all these trifling matters that you pursue.
These are not trifling matters. I have learned the secret of making gold from lead.
Poppycock, Bolter. You're obviously demented. Have you really?
And I have chosen you to carry my secret into the world. A secret for which I fear I have given my life.
Nonsense. Your father won't permit it.
Oh, Master. Master, let the lion encounter the virgin, and having been taken captive, fetter him to the fetters, to the sun and the moon. So shall he rise from sleep and take on the form of mastery, leaving behind all concealment. For in simplicity all shall be accomplished, and he shall be given the glory. Oh, Master, Master, at the Sacra Scala, at the summit shines the perfect thing. Mara, Tabitha.
David Adams has amassed quite an array of professional engagements, including a 100% commercial. He's a graduate of screen acting seminars and has a continuing speaking role of a police constable in the upcoming TV pilot The Brothers Zack.
Smack freak. Didn't you hear me, mate? I said chunder somewhere else. You can come back here and clean this off the bumper, you dead shit junkie. Piss off. You're not leaving here until you clean that shit off my car. You can start by licking it off. This yours? Put it back. You lick that bumper clean, mate. I might consider it.
Michael Oxenburgh comes to us from London via Perth, where he studied acting under the inimitable Colleen Clifford. An actor for over 10 years, Michael can turn his hand to comedy or drama with equal effectiveness. He's a trained baritone and has had numerous roles for the Grundy Organisation and the ABC.
Well, you must know if you can knock one electron out of the mercury atom, you would produce a gold atom.
I must admit, Lexington, that I didn't know.
You must know you can produce a mercury atom from a lithium atom if you can knock one electron out of that. And you can produce a lithium atom from a lead atom if you can knock one electron out of the lead. Now, if you can, in one stroke, knock 3 electrons out of the lead atom, you would produce a gold atom, wouldn't you?
If you say so, my dear fellow, then I'm sure I could.
I have.
What are you going to do about it?
I'll tell you what I'm going to do about it. I'm going to write an article for Nature magazine. That's the first thing I'm going to do.
Please, Lexington, that's a very valuable piece of furniture. You're going to write an article for a magazine? Oh, you poor fool.
What's wrong with writing an article for Nature?
Good Lord, the man asked me what's wrong with telling the world.
Oh, really, Bowering? The world must know of this scientific...
Stop. I don't know whether you have made gold. You scientists are generally truthful about such things. If you have done it, don't you see what will happen?
Well, that's why I came to you.
My good friend, if any mortal being knows about this, and already one does, me, you're in peril. If it gets around to 2 or 3, you're done.
Why?
Lexington, my friend, you're sitting on a ton of dynamite, here and now. Tell me, Lexington, have you done it?
Well, I made this from lead.
You made this? Is it real? How much does it weigh?
You are interested.
Of course I'm interested, man. It's incredible.
Well, if you're interested, the rest of the world would be interested too. That's why I wanted to write the article for Nature. Then perhaps a book. I could become rich. Oh, and I'd be happy to pay you a commission for your advice and help in the publication.
After what I've told you, you still want to publish?
Well, I must admit I'm not as keen on the idea as I was.
Not as keen on it? I should hope not.
Actually, I admire your advice. Well, in view of what you said, I suppose I shall have to give up the idea of publication. But despite the scientific importance of turning lead into gold.
Thank God. Have you made any other decisions?
Yes. I've decided that if we're to have tea, we better get at it. Or we'll spoil our dinner.
Pat Sutherland's performance as Eleanor of Aquitaine at the Cronulla Arts Theatre has the critics reaching for new superlatives. Originally a dancer, Pat took to acting while in London, where she spent 7.5 years as a professional. She has been a much sought-after leading lady in Sydney's repertory theatre circles since her return to Australia.
What's happening? My boss was on his way here, but they got a call saying that Richie's at Bernice's, so they've diverted to there.
Bernice. I was so happy when he first brought her home. I didn't like her much, but I thought, at least he's got himself a girl. 22, and she was his first girl. I thought things might be different now. He's got a girl. Maybe he'll get himself a job. Maybe it'll all be all right. But it just got worse. Bernice. It's her fault. No. One shouldn't blame other people for one's own mistakes. It's all my fault, you see.
But you've been a wonderful mother.
No. When he had the accident, when he was 5, his dad had been dead a couple of years. I was lonely, you know. I had this friend, a man friend, Ted. One afternoon in summer, very hot, Richie was playing in the garden, and Ted, we went inside to the bedroom, left Richie alone. I can hear it now. The brakes of the truck screeching, Richie crying. I came outside.
and he was lying in the roadway. His legs all bent and funny. 4 years. For 4 years he was an invalid. I swore, I promised I'd never leave him alone again.
But it wasn't your fault.
Who knows? I don't. I sent Ted away. Didn't ever want to see him again. Poor man. He couldn't understand. From then on, I just concentrated on looking after Richie.
Stephen Jones is 13 years of age but looks somewhat younger. A professional veteran for one so young, he's chalked up 4 TV commercials, sundry radio plays and work in the films The Little Convict and Fatty Finn. Stephen was also a special extra in Patrol Boat for the ABC.
Going to be hot again, Dad.
What did McKenna talk to you about last night?
Nothing. He just wanted to know where you were.
What did you say?
Just that you'd phoned and said you were working later on case.
Well, what else did you talk about?
Nothing.
Well, you keep it that way. Any of those characters come round here when I'm not home, don't you ever tell them anything about what happened.
Why would I?
Well, just don't.
I put all that right out of my mind.
Have you? Well, I haven't.
Just forget about it.
Pigs, I will.
What's the point, Dad?
The point is, as far as I'm concerned, is that pervert, that school teacher of yours, got off scot-free for what he did to you. Well, not for long, believe me.
Look, it's history.
1 week ago, it's not history to me.
I've told you, he resigned and everything. Mr. Kavanagh resigned. Forget it.
I'll find Mr. Colin Kavanagh, don't you worry.
What do you mean, find him?
Lousy queer.
He was just sick.
He'll be a lot sicker when I finish with him.
Drop it.
He interfered with you. Don't you care about that?
He's gone. It's over.
Elizabeth Burt's youthful beauty was on show in many pantomimes and variety shows in her native Adelaide before she came to Sydney. As yet, her professional appearances here have been confined to extra work, so here's your opportunity to discover her as an actress.
I'm sorry to burden you with all this, Jack, but I don't know who else to turn to.
Sonia, darling, you know my shoulder's always available where you're concerned, but wouldn't it be better to talk it all over with Duncan?
No, I can't do that. The poor man's worried enough about me as it is.
But it was only a bad dream.
No, it was more than that. It was almost as if it were real. As if it was actually happening.
Son, honey, dies in Bali and Duncan's still on duty at the paper.
I know. Oh, Jack, it's all starting to happen like it did before, when I had to go away.
Look, love, you mustn't dwell on it like this. It's all in your imagination.
It's not only the nightmare, frightening as it was. It's me, Jack. I'm doing things I don't remember doing, saying all sorts of things which are quite untrue. Duncan's been so patient with me, but... Oh, Jack, I think I'm losing my mind.
Pamela Norman's acting skill has lit up many a stage between Australia and her native Yorkshire county. A thorough professional, she was with the Queensland Theatre Company and appeared in 2 most successful film roles, The French Teacher in The Mango Tree and The Bank Manageress, and John Bluthell's fellow actor in Touch and Go. Since coming to Sydney, Pamela's been cast in several bits for the ABC, and her career is poised to take off.
You can tell summer's here. Picked up one long-haired lad bumming around with a surfboard strapped to his backside.
There's no surf in England.
There's Morecambe Bay.
Morecambe Bay. On a wet Easter Monday.
You're missing the point, Lucy. Kids back home is hard-working, respectable lads.
Oh, you do talk some rot, Al Sutcliffe. Where do you think long hair started? On bloody sheep.
What I'm saying is their attitude's all wrong.
And what about that lot down King's Road at Chelsea? Catch them working. Ecky thump. They're all pot and pudding club down there.
It's never. Princess Margaret herself part of that there King's Road set.
She was, Alf. 15 years ago. She's grown up and got married since then. Any road. I'm not talking about the debutantes. I'm talking about that hippie lot down in London. Drug addicts.
They're never. You've been brainwashed by television.
Oh, have I? Then what about them long-haired English pop groups?
If you read the papers, you'd know the Beatles have all had their hair cut.
And if you read the papers, you'd have known that the Beatles bust up 2 years ago. Besides, there's plenty others. The Bee Gees, for instance.
Well, they're Australian.
Oh, they're English-born.
Aussie bred, corrupted in their youth, they were.
To Rolling Stones, then. A mucky lot they are. And they're English, all right. You can't deny that, Al Sutcliffe.
Aye. And they come over here, don't they? And for why? Because they won't have them in England, that's why.
Oh, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm due at work.
In only last Sunday's paper, their own bloody paper, they admitted that Sydney was a city of sin.
Well, of course, if you want to believe everything you read in bloody Sunday papers, then you're dafter than I thought you were. Next thing we know, you'll be believing Veritas.
Lester Morris's credits make impressive reading, but would take too much time here. He's a pro with experience on stage, screen and television. A fine tenor, he's the promoter of the Piccadilly Music Hall and is a recognised motorcycling expert in TV and radio commentaries.
I never got on well with my father either. He drove me out of home.
Yeah?
Yeah. He was always getting into these terrible tempers. They'd last for days. He'd just sit around the place sulking, saying nothing. Didn't dare speak to him. Everybody used to sort of creep around the house trying to keep out of his way.
Did he ever bash you up?
Oh, no, never. I think he never did. Never laid a finger on any of us.
My old man does. He picks on you, you know.
Oh, what about?
Nothing. Little things. Not doing the washing up, something like that.
Where do you folks live?
Fairfield. It's a dump.
Where's Fairfield?
Way out west.
You mean to say you've got to go all the way out there tonight?
Yeah. Stayed out one night, my parents hit the roof. Mum went and called the cops and everything.
Surely you'd prefer to spend the night here. Go home tomorrow morning. Come on. I'm sure it'll be all right.
Shit. I've got to go.
Well, are you leaving? Already? Look, aren't you going to watch the movie? Look, here, have another drink. Go on.
I'll miss the last train.
Oh, come on, Jamie, don't leave so soon. Look, I'll see out your taxi.
I want to leave, okay?
Well, look, what's it worth? Taxi fare and say, $30. 30?
I've got to go.
Well, look, 40. Look, $40, Jamie. Just for your company.
You're wasting your time, mate. Now just let me pass.
Well, $50. How about that? Oh, God.
James Leslie has appeared in a number of TV commercials and as an extra for the Grundy organisation and the ABC. A graduate of the screen acting seminars, James is a very useful character actor.
Is there something wrong with us playing the pennies?
No. Not if that's all you're doing. You two live in Sydney?
Surrey Hills. We share a flat in Burke Street.
And what about you, Sport? Do you work or what?
He sells paintings.
I'm not asking you, I'm asking your mate here, okay? Now he can speak for himself.
I sell paintings, door to door.
How long have you been doing that?
6 months, since I left school.
How old are you, Will?
16.
And you?
17 years and 4 months.
Well, I'm going to take your names and addresses, just to check a few things out, okay? And I should warn you both that giving false information is a serious offence. Now, do you understand that?
What have we done, though?
Nothing. We're just checking a few things out. Now, what's your name?
Sullivan. Jerry Sullivan.
Jill Clayton has had 2 professional acting careers. A sister of top English director Jack Clayton, Jill worked in the early British film industry 40 years ago. After marriage brought her to Australia, she's turned again to acting in her 60s. I know her charm and talent will soon establish her as a favourite.
What is it, Frederick?
A man, madam.
Really? And who are you, my man?
Charles Lumpy, madam.
You sound quite educated, but you look dreadful.
I've had a great misfortune, madam. Could you tell me where Lord Taylor's hunting lodge is?
Lord Taylor? Over the hill and through the glen. Do you know Lord Taylor?
Well, yes, madam. He's invited me to his lodge for a holiday.
Well, you can't go on holiday looking like that. I'm the Duchess of Aberraven. This is Frederick, the gardener.
How do you do?
I have a spare room. You might be able to clean up a bit. It was dear Daphne's room. God rest her soul. Frederick, show Mr. Lumpy to Miss Daphne's room.
Well, thank you, madam.
Lord Taylor's reputation will suffer for this. He does fit the description. Oh, dear. This is dreadful. Frederick. Charles Lumpy is really the notorious Charles Lexington. You better stand by the gate so he can't escape. I do hate to see him caught. He reminds me so much of dear Daphne.
Maureen Summers has been hiding her outstanding talent in the country town of Foster, where she stood astride the local theatrical scene like a colossus. She attended screen acting seminars where George Mallaby advised her to get herself to Sydney quick. So here she is. What offers on Maureen?
Well, something's obviously happened to chase the blues away. I know. Carlo Ponti rang up. He wants you to replace the fire in his next movie. No, I've got it now. It was Alfred Hitchcock.
Oh, Bev.
Sir Alec Guinness?
If you must know, I took your advice. I phoned that producer, Alex Lederer.
And?
He came over.
And you came across?
Oh, no.
Oh, so he didn't make a pass, and you got the part?
No, he didn't make a pass, and I didn't get the part.
Then why the Bluebells of Happiness?
Oh, Bev, he was so nice. At first I thought, oh, well, anyway, I told him what I'd done, then I read for him. Then he told me, quite frankly, I wasn't ready for such a big part.
Oh, great. Big deal. Miss Failure of 1972, and she's happy.
But there's an understudy job.
Oh,
and he said
stringing you along.
Oh, no, he's genuinely interested. And not just to get me into bed, either. He does want to see me again, I admit. But that's got nothing to do with work. He just likes me.
Yet a job is being dangled in front of you.
Oh, Bev, you're too cynical.
Cynthia Cooper. How difficult to give a thumbnail sketch that will do justice to this outstanding actress. From the Queensland Theatre Company and the lead role of Valerie in the continuing Grundy serial Until Tomorrow, to her recent triumph in the lead in a Sydney production of Woman in a Dressing Gown, with countless ABC radio roles along the way, she's more than paid her dues. She's new in Sydney, and I know will quickly find new supporters here.
Do you remember my nephew, Hamersham?
A fine lad. I've met him.
Thank you. I've done my best. He's working with my husband now, but he should be getting on in his own business.
Oh, yes. Always good to start young.
Mr. Baring, I thought it would be an excellent opening for my nephew if by any chance you could make a place for him in your business.
I see.
If he
does go into business, you would be the ideal man for him. I mean, to start him. Show him the ropes and all that. Do you know what put the idea into my head? It was that young Don, Mr. Lexington.
He's been talking a lot lately. A good fellow, though. I like him.
Oh, exactly. A good fellow. As a matter of fact, I thought you and he were partners. Well, of course, I know nothing of that, but he does come here a good deal. And to your home. By the way, Mr. Bowring, did you read that very remarkable lecture of his on transmutation of metals?
No, I did not. But he told me about it. He's rather fond of that nonsense.
You think it's nonsense?
I don't believe and I don't disbelieve, and I don't care, really. Metals will be metals, you know. They'll go on as they've always done.
Oh, I'm not so sure. Modern science is a wonderful thing. Well, to go on, you're the man whose opinion I want on this matter. What I mean is a short act in Parliament to make it illegal to deal with other than known and certified weights of metal. To make it a felony to make gold. And negotiate if it is manufactured. Of course, all this sounds ridiculous today, but we never know about tomorrow.
Mrs. Mills, I want to come back to the first point, if you don't mind. I'll do anything to help your nephew or you. I'll recommend it to anyone you like. There's Burleys, for example. They're looking for someone.
But, Mr. Bowring, I do assure you, my nephew's heart is set on working here with you. Oh, he's begged so hard. You know how young men are.
Lynn Bell comes from a theatrical family. Her father was a touring hypnotist, and Lynn toured with him during 11 of her formative years. A 1980 graduate of the Independent Theatre School, Lynn is currently training with Bob Huber at screen acting seminars.
Sonia, what's the matter?
I'm moving out, Jack. I couldn't stay on here. Not after what's happened.
Oh, running away again.
You must admit I've got a lot to run away from.
Oh, not anymore, you haven't. Not with Duncan and Dinah in custody. It was them. They were sending you round the bend. And now they've gone.
I'll never be able to thank you enough for what you did. If you hadn't got suspicious, if you hadn't persuaded me to act out that terrible nightmare. God, what some people will do for money.
I wish you'd stayed out. At least until the anniversary party tomorrow night.
But I decided not to go. I haven't got a thing to wear.
Now I know you're normal. That settles it. You're going and I'm taking you. We'll go as a couple of losers.
Yes, we both chose wrong partners, didn't we? Still, there's plenty more fish in the sea, as they say.
And come to think of it, I've always been rather partial to shrimps.
Allan Lim came to Australia from Malaysia and is of Chinese descent. In addition to English, he speaks the Hokkien dialect of Chinese and is able to make himself understood in Mandarin. Despite the following scene, Allan is not looking for a role as a Scotsman, but please take note of him for appropriate future roles.
Make fun of me, boss. But from the Polar Star dry cleaning store, I will rise. A film star who will quit all the other film stars from the international screens. You will see, I will star with Laura Fiore.
Who's she?
You would know if you went to the cinema. Laura Fiore is the biggest film star of the Italian cinema.
All this to happen from the dry cleaners?
Why not from the dry cleaners? What about Marlon Brando? He used to sell chewing gum on 38th Street.
Get out! I don't want to see you.
Do you want to see me, eh? Just remember, write that down. There'll come a day when you'll pay $10 to see me.
It's your insanity speaking.
And you'll be standing in a queue.
Go, get away.
And they'll be saying to you, standing room only, fatso.
You're living in a world of dreams.
World of dreams, eh? Just look here. See how photogenic I am? Here. In a tuxedo. I'm the great lover.
You look more like a waiter.
And here, a fireman. I look like I've been in a real fire.
That's where these photos ought to be.
And this one, I'm particularly proud of.
And what are you in the skirt? A schoolgirl?
A Scotsman.
Why'd you take so many photos of each pose?
I sent them to all the local producers and overseas. Italy, France, Britain, and of course, Hollywood.
Janine King studied drama at the Mitchell College, Bathurst, before coming to Sydney, where she's attended 4 screen acting seminars. An outstanding singer in the pop style, Janine sings professionally with a band.
Someone to see you in your office, darling.
Darling, where have you been?
Looking for a gun.
Things have been quite busy lately. So many new business offers and... A what?
A gun.
Why?
To shoot you, my love. Who is Emma Witherspoon?
Isn't that the lovely sable I bought for you last month? And that bag, didn't I get that in Paris?
Don't change the subject. I've talked to Mr. Lexington. For the last time, who is Emma Witherspoon?
Biggest mouth in the world, Lexington. Now you relax here a moment, dear. I have a customer.
Don't move, the customer will go away.
Not this customer, my dear. It's the Home Secretary, Mr. Mills. Now, put the gun away.
You can't put me off. I will shoot.
There isn't time for that. You wouldn't want the Home Secretary to be a witness to your crime, would you? Now, why don't you climb in this lovely chest and lie down for a moment and think about it, all right?
I hate you for what you've done.
You adore me, and you know it.
John Matheson is a natural actor. Retired after a career as a school headmaster, John attended screen acting seminars and displayed an easy aptitude for the medium. His maturity and authority will prove very useful indeed.
Here's a report in the Herald about Charles Lexington's railway lecture. Listen to this. Never before have we been faced with such a potential catastrophe as in this new scientific theory. Lexington, the modern-day Helvetius, was delivering his lecture before a select group at St. Olaf's University yesterday, following the tradition of the and so on and so on.
Tell me who he is, Daddy.
His father and I were close friends. You and Charles used to play together when you were very small, don't you remember?
No. Is he very rich?
No, certainly not. He's a scientist.
Is he sexy?
If your mother was alive, she'd be shocked.
Well, is he?
Of course he isn't. He has dignity. I've asked him round to tea.
Will Charles Lexington be very rich if he does what he says in his lecture?
He'll be terribly rich till he's arrested.
How exciting. I hope he does it.
Yes, but remember, dear, that if he does, we'll be bankrupt.
No, I wouldn't, Father. If he makes gold, then I will marry him. Shall we go to dinner?
A very sound business plan. Very sound.
Norton Howarth's career has spanned the period since radio acting was king in Sydney. His impressive voice and distinguished appearance have helped him to sustain a long career in film, TV and radio.
Tell me this, Lexington. Why is young Bolter to be sent down?
Well, you see, sir, he applies himself in an altogether different way than the other students.
Let me remind you that old Bolter is one of the best subscribers to St. Olive's. And now you, in a rash moment, and with an obvious disregard, are going to throttle the goose that lays the golden egg.
Oh, I had no intention of throttling the goose, sir. It's just that young Bolter alludes to alchemy.
Has he ever failed a terminal examination?
But no, sir, he hasn't.
Well, there you are, you see. You're being prejudiced against him. Lexington, you must help this boy.
I've tried, sir. It's just that, well,
It's just that we need old Bolter for St. Olive's sake. I must tell you that running a university is not a very profitable business, Lexington. We need old Bolter. And we need another genius like young Bolter in the field of electrochemistry.
I've sent notes to him several times to...
Send notes. Don't send notes. Talk to the lad. Take him under your wing. Try to understand his genius. Help him, give him strength. And keep the Bolter money at St. Olive's.
Yes, sir.
Make him feel that he's wanted here. Go and help the lad, Lexington. Go and help him.
I'll try, sir. I really will.
Good. That will be all, Lexington.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Brendon O'Neill is another who's entered our profession through screen acting seminars, although in his late 20s he can, with effectiveness, play much younger roles. His experience to date has been as an extra, with 100% commercial as his only speaking role to date.
180 for the bond for a start. That's the law. It's standard. Then you've got 2 weeks' rent in advance, another $90. That's 270 without counting the deposits for gas and electricity. So I think maybe we're wasting our time here, don't you? You'll be looking at least 350 to kick off. And if you haven't got that kind of money, you'd only be wasting your time and mine looking at these places. Right?
I suppose so.
Have you got a job?
Not yet.
Well, when you've got a job and got the money together, come back then and we'll see what we can do for you. Apart from anything else, if you haven't got a job, most of the landlords on our books won't give you a lease. They don't want people who can't pay the rent. Makes sense, don't you think?
$350. God, you need more than a job. You'd have to win the lotto.
Bryan Sheridan has been a professional actor for over 10 years, and his credits include Matlock Police, Division 4, Homicide, King's Men, Number 96, amongst others. He's made 13 TV commercials, and his athletic physique and handsome good looks make him a most useful actor.
And what's your excuse for staying around here after hours?
Mac and the kids are having a birthday celebration, and I didn't want to hang around playing good old Uncle Doug, so I left myself totally at a loose end.
The Errol Flynn of Transasia at a loose end?
Miss Carter, I get the distinct impression you have been listening to all the wrong stories and have arrived at a totally erroneous, or should I say erogenous opinion of me as a result. Beneath this swashbuckling exterior beats the heart of a rather sad and introspective person.
How fascinating.
You don't believe me, do you? That I might like to spend a quiet evening talking, for instance.
It's just that this is a side of you I'd never imagined. And this stewardess, Jackie, doesn't she enjoy just talking? Oh, I'm sorry, it's none of my business.
No, it's just that... Well, to be perfectly honest...
Listen, may I make a suggestion?
By all means.
I'm at a bit of a loose end myself this evening. Why don't we continue this conversation back at my place?
Lynn McLeod is another pro with an impressive list of TV credits. She's cast as a gangster's girl in the series pilot The Brothers Zack and has a significant role in the first episode of Bellamy, which Grundy's are producing.
Looking for a gun.
Things have been quite busy here lately. So many new business offers. A what?
A gun.
Why?
To shoot you with, my love. Who is Emma Witherspoon?
Isn't that the lovely sable I bought for you last month? And that bag, didn't I get that in Paris?
Don't change the subject. I've been talking to Mr. Lexington. For the last time, who is Emma Witherspoon?
Biggest mouth in the world, Lexington. You relax here a moment, my dear. I have a customer.
Don't move. The customer will go away.
Not this customer, my dear. It's the Home Secretary, Mr. Mills. Now put the gun away.
You can't change my mind. I will shoot.
There isn't time for that. You wouldn't want the Home Secretary to be a witness to your crime, would you? Now, why don't you just climb into this lovely chest and lie down for a moment and think about it, all right?
I hate you for what you've done.
You adore me, and you know it.
Creep. I know what I'll say.
Brian Best, Now here's a useful character actor. Bryan has had small roles in Water Under the Bridge, Timeless Land, Time Lapse, Arcade, Restless Years and Home Sweet Home. He's appeared in numerous commercials and in one has the speaking role of one of the Muir Motors brothers. Bryan's English and is a sales training expert.
Well, they've done it.
Done what?
They've made gold. You know what that means?
More or less, yes.
It's the duty of the government to act at once.
Hamersham, Mr. Hamersham, get me that file marked LL2, the one on Lexington's lecture, you know. After that lecture was given on the transmutation of metals, I had all the notes and inquiries made. You see, here's the dossier, full and complete.
You can act at once?
At once. We're almost as efficient as Scotland Yard.
Hi, my compliments, Mills.
A real threat to the country, I thought to myself. I wasn't there when the lecture was given, but I read the entire thing and I heard all the talk about it. So I gathered all the facts together. We can't negotiate for anyone but ourselves. We can't negotiate for the Dominions, or for the United States, or for any of the countries of Europe. It will mean very secret and careful negotiations before any action can be taken. There must be no leakage. You know what that would mean.
Leakage would mean absolute economic destruction of the world and a panic of chaos. It's difficult to think about. You must issue an order immediately.
The first thing we must do is get the culprit. It's Lexington, of course.
Now look here, Mills.
I know you're a great friend of his, and I know you're as fond of him as I am, and I know you're a friend of his father's.
Well, I suppose you may as well know the whole truth. It is Lexington, of course. And shall I tell you who he's working with? Bowery. The man with the little curio shop in Mayfair.
Of course. I ought to have guessed it. But thank you for telling me. This will make me even bigger as a national hero.
Pat Best was a consistent leading actor in the leading amateur pantomime society in the south of England and in one of the most successful amateur theatre companies in the Greater London area. Now in Australia, she's had a number of useful roles in TV productions and commercials.
What is it, Frederick?
A man, madam.
Really? Good heavens, who are you, my man?
Charles Lumpy, madam.
You sound quite educated, but you look dreadful.
Oh, I've had a great misfortune, madam. Could you tell me where Lord Taylor's hunting lodge is?
Oh, over the hill and through the glen. Do you know Lord Taylor?
Yes, madam. He's invited me to his lodge for a holiday.
Oh, you can't go on holiday looking like that. I'm the Duchess of Aberavon. Oh, this is Frederick the gardener.
How do you do? How do you do?
Well, I have a spare room. You could clean up a bit. It was Daphne's room. God rest her soul. Frederick, show Mr. Lumpy Daphne's room.
Thank you, madam.
Dear, dear, Lord Taylor's reputation will suffer for this. He does fit the description. Oh dear, this is dreadful. Frederick, Charles Lumpy is really the notorious Charles Lexington. Well, you'd better stay by the gate so he can't escape. Oh, I'd really hate to see him caught. He reminds me so much of dear Daphne.
Don Fernando's dark beauty is a legacy of Spanish and Algerian ancestors. Dawn did her TV training with screen acting seminars in Brisbane, but is now a permanent resident of Sydney and has already worked as an extra in Bellamy and The Restless Years.
Hello? I didn't have to guess who. Yes, there's rehearsal in half an hour. Heavens, I better fly. No, I've been up for ages. I was just keeping trim. I'm glad you think so. Yes. Oh, yes, it's marvellous. I'd love to. Yes, of course I will. Thanks awfully. Bye.
Who was that on the phone?
Alex, to say it's the first understudy call this evening.
A producer interested in understudy rehearsals? First time I ever heard of that.
Well, you haven't heard everything. There's always something new, isn't there? Alex is interested in all aspects of the production.
I know the type, Janie. Remember, I've been around a whole lot more than you have. I know men like Lederer. At that age, they're all the same.
Well, he's not all the same. He's dedicated. And
Brad Innes, at 19 years of age, is 6 feet 2 tall. After some experience with Bradfield Light Opera Company, Brad attended screen acting seminars and has spent the past 12 months doing extra work for the Grundy organisation with the odd commercial thrown in.
Oh, he used to get into these terrible tempers. They'd last for days. He'd just sit there sulking and saying nothing. You didn't dare speak to him. Everyone would sort of creep about the house, keeping out of his way.
Did he ever bash you up?
No, never. There was something he never did. Never laid a finger on any of us.
My old man does. He picks on you, you know.
Oh, what about?
Nothing. Oh, just little things. Not doing the washing up, something like that.
Oh, where do your parents live?
Fairfield. It's a dump.
Where's Fairfield?
Oh, it's way out west.
You've got to go all the way out there tonight?
Yeah. Stayed out one night and my parents hit the roof. I went and called the cops and everything.
Oh, surely you'd prefer to spend the night here. Go home tomorrow morning. Go on. I'm sure it'll be all right.
Shit. I've got to go.
Oh, you're going already? Oh, aren't you going to watch the movie? Have another drink. Go on.
No, I'll miss the last train.
Come on, Jamie. Don't go so soon. I'll shout you a taxi.
I want to leave, okay?
What's it worth? Taxi ride and say $30? $30.
I've got to go.
40. Look, Jamie, $40 just for your company.
Listen, mate, you're wasting your time. Now just let me go.
Keith Bryan is a former international baseball representative and a radio and TV commentator on that sport, as well as an actor. He has the role of a uniformed policeman in the upcoming TV pilot The Brothers Zack, and has appeared in A Town Like Alice, Sporting Chance, and some of the Grundy series, mostly as an extra. Keith has a good toupee and sometimes wears a beard, so he's visually quite versatile.
What do you got there?